Do you have images on your Drupal website that don't have alt text? If you do, then you probably know that this is bad for accessibility. It's also bad for search engine optimization. In this series of videos, I'm going to show you how you can use AI to update all of those images on your site so that they do have alt text and without writing any code and without writing any of the alt text yourself. My name is Wayne Aker, and I'm a Drupal developer at Zengenuity. I also teach Drupal training courses at drupaltutor.com. Now, this particular process that I'm going to show you is based on something we did for a real client project. This client had about 1,300 images in their media library that didn't have alt text. Many of those images were used on the website, and therefore, when we did accessibility scans, those images were flagged as missing alt text. So they wanted to update these, but updating hundreds and even thousands of images with alt text manually, that's a very tedious and time-consuming process. And this is something that AI is really, really good at. So we decided to see if we could apply AI to this task. And I was pleasantly surprised to find that we could do it entirely through the user interface of Drupal without writing any custom code. And so I'm going to show you how we did it in this series of videos. So I'm going to break these videos into 3 parts. In part 1, we will build the user interface using the Drupal's views module. This interface will allow us to see all of the images in our media library, view the current status of their alt text, and easily identify which ones are missing alt text. We will also set it up so that we can take bulk actions on those media images later. And we'll add a way to flag images that need a human review after we generate the alt text with AI. In part 2, we'll install and configure the ECA module. That stands for Event Condition Action. ECA allows you to build complex workflows right through the user interface. And so we'll use that to create the specific bulk actions that we need, like generating the alt text for a selection of images, as well as marking those images as having been reviewed by a human once we're done. And in part 3, we'll integrate the AI. We'll talk about connecting to an AI service and setting up the prompts to automatically generate descriptive alt text for our images, which will complete the workflow. Okay, so let's get started here with part 1. Our goal here in this video is to build a user interface for viewing and managing the alt text on images in our media library. For this demonstration, I have a Drupal site installed. This happens to be Drupal CMS, which comes with a lot of modules and configurations pre-installed. However, everything I'm showing you here would work on a standard Drupal site of any kind. There's nothing specific to Drupal CMS required for this process itself. Drupal CMS already has many of the required modules for this task installed, but as we go through, I will point out all of the necessary modules that you may need to install. So you could follow these steps on a basic Drupal installation. And in fact, the client site that this was originally built for was not Drupal CMS, and we just installed everything that we needed. Okay, so let's look at the media library on this demo site. Here is the standard media library view. This is a demo site, obviously not the client site. I've loaded this demo site with a bunch of varied stock images. I tried to pick different things. There are pictures of people, pictures of landscapes, cities, some generated art images, and even some logos and some animals. I wanted a good variety of image types for this demo. And I also made sure to give them really generic file names. Now, obviously, it would be better or it'd be nice if your media file names were more descriptive. But I think we all know that many people's media libraries look like this without helpful names. And so I did it this way because this means there's nothing in the file name or the media name for the AI to use. It will have to rely solely on analyzing the image content itself. Now, the problem here in this default media view is that we cannot see the alt text for these images. If I edit one of these images, though, we can see right here that the alt text field is empty. And as it is right now, I would have to edit each one and individually check to see if there was alt text. But if I do that for a couple of these, you can see all of these are currently empty. So I purposefully set this up for the demo. Now on a default Drupal install, the alt text field is usually required. And I actually had to turn that off in order to simulate a site where alt text is missing. However, this can happen on older sites where maybe the requirement was turned off in the past. And so it leads to a situation where you may have many images on your site without alt text. And so we are going to need a better way to manage this instead of just editing each one to check. And so let's build a view so that we can see everything we need in one place. All right, so we will go to Structure, Views, and then I'll click Add View. And we can call this view anything. Let's name it Media Alt Text Fixer. And under View Settings, I want to show media of type image. And we will create a page of this view. And we'll set the path to admin, content, media, alt, text, fixer. You can choose any path you like. For the display format, let's choose table. And we'll show 50 items per page. Then I'll click Save and Edit. Okay, so here's the basic view. By default, it just shows the media name right now. So let's make this more useful. First, we want to see the image itself, like a thumbnail. We also want to see the media name, which we already have, the alt text, and then eventually we need to see a status for whether this media needs review by a human. So we'll get to that. Let's first start by adding a thumbnail. So we'll go up here and click Add in the Field section. And I'm going to search for image. There is also thumbnail, but I actually don't want the tiny thumbnail. And the reason I don't want that is we may need a larger format in order to, because when we review this, we want to really be able to see what's in the image so that we can compare the alt text that the AI generated. So let's pick, not this one. Let's pick the media or the image that appears in the image type of media. And then under formatter, we will choose the image formatter and we'll set the style to medium. I think that will be big enough that we can see it well and we can compare it to the alt text that gets generated. Okay, so now we have name and thumbnail. Next, we need the alt text. This is a little bit tricky if there isn't a direct alt text field here that we can add to this view. What we need to do is add the image field again. And if we just apply that, then you'll see that that adds the image one more time. Now, that's not what we want. What we want to do is have the alt text here. So what we can do is rewrite the output of this field. So if I click on it, and then we come down to rewrite results, we can click to override the output of this field with custom text. And then if we scroll down, there's replacement patterns. One of the options here is the alt text, the raw alt. So we can paste that token in here and click apply. And now you can see that it's empty here, but that's because we don't have any alt text defined for these images. Let's go add some alt text. I'll just put the word test in this one. And then let's update this. And now you can see that the test is there. So this is working. We're now able to see the alt text for these images. The only other thing I should do here is let's change the label of this column to alt text. Okay, this looks good. All right, next we need a way to track whether AI generated alt text has been added to this image and it needs a human review. Now, this isn't something that's built into media entities, so we'll have to add a custom field for this. So let's go to structure, media types, and find the image type. And then let's click manage fields. I'll click to create a new field. The field type for this will be, let's pick Boolean. This will be a checkbox. And let's label it unreviewed AI alt text. And so the machine name might be something like field unreviewed AI alt text. All right, we'll save and continue. Now, we probably don't want this checkbox showing up everywhere. So let's go under manage display and drag the unreviewed AI alt text down into the disabled section and then choose save. We can also check it out on manage form display. You can leave it here if you prefer, but I will drag it right up under the image and click save. All right, so now back to, so that should take care of the architecture. Now back to our view. Let's click add in the fields section again and search for unreviewed AI alt text. This is the field we just created. So let's add it. And for the formatter, let's choose yes and no. Let's also handle the case where the value might be null, meaning it hasn't been set to true or false yet. That's actually the case for all of our existing images because we added the field after those images were already uploaded. So if we expand the no results behavior, let's put the no results text as also being no. And this ensures that both false and no will be displayed as no. Okay, and click apply. So this looks good so far. Now, it would be helpful to also add, to have some quick edit links here. So let's add the operations links. To the list. And now, now we have the edit and delete links for each item. Okay, so I think this is good for the output. Now let's set up some filters. So because this view shows everything, but the real power in this interface is going to be from filtering, because what we want to do is we want to easily find the images that are missing alt text and or images that have alt text added to them by AI and have been flagged for needing human review. So let's add some filters so that we can find those. So let's go to filter criteria. And let's click add, and then let's add one for unreviewed alt text. And we'll expose this filter to visitors. And let's label it needs review. And we will default it to any. Now let's add a filter for the alt text itself. So again, I'll click add next to filter criteria and search search for the image field. And now this is important. When you're filtering on the image field, you want to specify that you want the filter based on the alt property. So make sure you select that one from the list of properties and expose this. And let's label this alt text empty. And we want two options here. So we should use grouped filters. And so the group filters should be, the first one should be yes as the label, meaning that the alt text is empty. And this is a little bit tricky, but since this is a Boolean, it's going to be stored as a 0 or sorry, this is a string. So it's going, and it's always a string, even if it's empty. So it's never null. So we can check if the length of it is shorter than 1, means that it is 0, so it's empty. And the other option is the alt text is empty, no, and that means that it is length is longer than length is longer than 0. And let's get rid of the third filter. And so I think that this will find, is the alt text empty, yes or no, as the filter. So let's go test it. So down here, if we choose alt text empty, let's make the default. Go back and make this optional. And set the default to any. Okay, let's update the preview. Oh, sorry, it should be optional. There we go. Okay, it's optional, and the alt text is, and the default is any. Yeah, okay, this is right. So let's update. So this is what it looks like by default. If I now choose alt text empty, yes, then you'll see that 1 went away. If I say it's alt text empty, no, then I just get the one that we filled in the test alt text for. So let's put that back to any, and then let's test our needs review. Now, right now, none of them needs review. So if I choose true, you'll see none of them show up. Now, the thing is, if I choose false, well, actually, it did work. I actually expected that not to work because I expected this value to be null for all of these. I'm not totally sure why this worked, but if it doesn't work when you try it, it's because the values are null. Once you can sort of either bulk update your images so they all have a value, or you could create a more complex filter here. I'm not going to do it because in general, we really want to find the ones where it's set to true. That's really the important use case. And those ones are going to work correctly because we're going to set them true when we generate AI alt text. All right, so I think this is good enough for now. So let's save the view. All right, and if we wanted to see that, we could type in the URL, which was admin content, media alt text vector. So if we go to this URL, then we can see our view is here. All right, the final piece for this UI is setting up the ability to do bulk operations on these. So we need what we want is some checkboxes here so that we can select multiple items and apply an action such as generating the alt text. And so this requires the views bulk operations module, which is also often called VBO. If you don't have it installed, you will need to install it on your project using Composer. So you can just go to your terminal in your Drupal folder and run Composer require Drupal views bulk operations. And then we will need to install it. So views bulk operations, we'll do that under extend. Once views bulk operations is installed, let's go back over here to the view and we can add a new field And if we search for bulk, there's views bulk operations. This is going to add the checkbox that we want for selecting certain ones. In this case, we need to take care about the batch size. So the way views bulk operations normally works is we will select some operations from the list here that we want to be able to apply in bulk to all of the items that we check. Normally the batch size is 10 is fine, but eventually we're going to be generating alt text with AI, and that is kind of a slow process because it's got to resize the image, it's got to send it to the server's got to, or the AI system, it's got to generate the alt text, it's got to come back, it's got to store it. So it's a pretty slow process compared to like, saving something directly in the Drupal site. And so if you have something like 10, this will tend to time out and like it won't ever complete because it's trying to do 10 of them before it refreshes the page when you go to execute like across 50 items or something. So I find that for this particular task, it's better to do a batch size 1. And that means if you select 50 of them, it will still just try to do one at a time, but it will do them. It will go through all of them, but it will only do one sort of as the progress bar goes across with each reload. So for this particular one, I would put the batch size to 1. So under actions, we don't have the AI action yet. That we'll build that later. So for now, let's just do something simple, such as save media. This will be sort of a placeholder that we can make sure this view works, and then just so we can make sure that it works. So let's click apply, and the checkbox is at the end. So let's rearrange it. I'll rearrange the fields, drag it up to the top, and click apply. And then let's make this page easier to find. So under the page settings, let's choose a menu tab, and let's choose alt text fixer. And for the parent, let's choose content, which is admin content, and click apply. And let's save this view one more time. And now if I just go to content, you'll see we now have this alt text fixer tab. If I click this, it brings up our page. And so now we have a user interface where we can see the images, their names, their thumbnails, their alt text or lack thereof, and whether they need human review. And we have filters to find the specific images, and we have checkboxes here so that we can apply bulk operations to these items. And if we want to test that, we can just check a few of these. Like let's check 3 of them. And the only action we have right now is the save media. But if we apply those, you'll see it'll go through and it's saved the 3 media items. Okay, so at this point, we have successfully built the foundation for our application here in part 1 of the series. In part 2, we will dive into the ECA module and build the custom actions that will plug in to views bulk operations. These actions will allow us to generate the alt text using AI and manage the review status for multiple images at once. I'll see you again in part 2 of this series.